All right, welcome everybody. Big news of the day, and I'm going to try to make as much sense out of this. Sometimes it's trying to explain the inexplicable. It really is. Bank of England. This is part of the problem why we've had so much volatility in the markets. Volatility to the downside. Issues in regards to currencies and runs on currencies, and you've seen what's happened with the euro and what's just happened with the pound and the type of movements that they've made. It's the British currency is another reserve currency. It's another global reserve currency. When it starts acting like the Turkish lira or the Argentinian peso, well, we've got issues. We've got issues. That's a major problem in more ways than one. The financial engineers across the landscape, they're here, there, everywhere, all across the globe. Well, they use all sorts of shenanigans to leverage positions, certain bonds. We're talking pension funds here that could have gone kaput. Yeah, Janet Yellen yesterday, I think it was North Carolina, was talking about, no liquidity problems. There's nothing, no problems, nothing to see here. Right. The UK came real close to major issues. What you got, my friends, was an old-fashioned bailout. The UK had to do an old-fashioned bailout. They had to bail out the pension funds. Well, in essence, they're bailing out the major money managers, BlackRock being one that was involved with this. Again, they were getting margin calls. You saw what happened. To their bonds. Falling out of bed. I was actually doing an interview today. If you have a decade plus of ultra low interest rates, and I, for one, railed against them, ultra low interest rates. I explained it on many occasions that it has actually made my job much more difficult as a financial advisor. And I talk about going back to the 1990s where you could get 6-7% on a 10-year. That's a nice alternative. Hey, stock market did well during the 1990s. Again, a lot of it was, smokeandmirrors.com nonsense, but there was a lot of great innovation during that period of time. And rates were much, much higher than they are now. When you have a policy like this, look at it, it's like akin to being in a car and you're driving down a highway at a blistering clip. Let's say, you decided you're taking your BMW M5 and you're going 120. Okay. Letting it all out, but you're still going pretty darn fast. And you slam on the brakes. Slam on them. That's a hell of a car, performance vehicle, but you're going to, you might spin out. You might get whiplash, a myriad of things. That's what the Fed has done. You're looking at a scenario right now, people, where, you've gone from, again, 120 miles an hour to, and it's not just here, it's everywhere around the globe. It was the wrong policy. And I believe it's the wrong thing to do right now. Wrong policy since I for one was saying, hey, the Fed needed to raise rates last year. The whole nonsense, the whole transitory nonsense that they kept pushing. They needed to raise rates back then. Even better, they needed to stop buying bonds, but they couldn't do that because they have to keep hooking up their buddies in Washington. Who gives a shit about you or I or anybody else out there? They don't give a crap about you or losing your job. It's kind of like, shucks. What are we going to do? Easy come, easy go. Yeah, sorry, we're going to have to, put people out of work and, put the economy into a hard recession because we got to stave off inflation. Well, couldn't you just, stop buying a bond? It's just, the federal government stop with all the ridiculous spending. Couldn't that do it too? Yeah. Yeah. But again, you're not going to get Washington to do that. Like I said, you're not going to get the elephants or donkeys to agree to anything like that. Like I said, they could have had Judy Shelton. Judy Shelton could have been a member of the Fed, but again, she's too smart for them. Can't have honest people, can't have free thinkers on the Fed. We need more PhD economists that have never worked a day in their life in a real job, because that's all that's there. Anyway, again, as of now, I'm time stamping here, so 2:00 in the afternoon. Do the podcast a little bit later today. Markets are up because, again, you're seeing a reaction from various different bonds. Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. I think we've got a lot of volatility still heading our way, which fine. Fine. You're there. Your dollar cost averaging. You're accumulating on a regular basis. You're going to be just fine. We're going to work our way through this. It's just going to be tenuous, to say the least, moving forward. Okay. I'm sorry. I saw this today. This is an actual headline. Somebody actually wrote this as a story. Mortgage refinancing drops to a 22-year low. Did anybody out there have a mortgage rate higher than 7% anywhere? And if you do, what the hell's wrong with you? You could have refinanced on several occasions, all the way down. What was it? 2.5, 2.4? I don't remember where the thing bottomed out. And this is a story. Who in the world's going to refinance at a higher rate? Does that make any sense? No, of course not. Investor pessimism is at levels not seen in nearly 13 years. The irony is that's when the Fed started to, really started lowering rates and pumping up the volume. But anyway, actually, when you have investor pessimism like this, more often than not, it's a bullish signal. I'm just telling you what history dictates. I don't know. Again, I don't. Like I said, I'm not good at timing markets, and you can always find tidbits of information to prove your thesis. Okay, it doesn't prove your thesis, but to support your ideas in some ways. And you could take a look at this, and you look at history, and when investor pessimism jumps to ridiculous levels, more often than not, the markets outperform a great deal moving forward. Again, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't have control over that, so I can't worry myself with that, nor should you. Worry yourself with owning high-quality companies that pay you to own them, and you'll be just fine. Yeah, we told you. Yeah, Manchin's energy permitting proposal was stripped from the funding bill. That's right. We got lots of funding bills. We got to keep the government open. We don't really put out budgets or anything like that. We do continuing resolutions. Manchin was hoping to attach his permitting bill to this, and Republicans and many Democrats said, nah. So Joe Manchin sold his soul and passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which is not an Inflation Reduction Act. Even John Kerry said it wasn't. And he gave that to Biden. And the funny thing was that Manchin was whining yesterday. He was whining. It wasn't so much about the fact that he lost his bill here, which, again, it was most certainly to the benefit of West Virginia. There's no doubt about that. Overwhelmingly beneficial to West Virginia. He was complaining, saying that the Biden student loan forgiveness plan wiped out any sort of inflation reduction from the Inflation Reduction Act. Come on, enough, Joe. Come on, you know better, okay? I mean, you say stuff. The guy's lost right now. I don't know what he's going to do. I mean, I don't know who he's going to side with next. Who knows? Anyway, first lawsuit was filed against Biden's illegal student loan spiel. Yeah, it's about time. It is. It's about time. That's a funny thing is that the left and Democrats they can file a lawsuit lickety split if they see some sort of pipeline that they don't like or drilling somewhere, whatever it may be, and they'll hold that thing up in courts forever in 10 days. Republicans can't get out of their own way. Conservatives can't get out of their own way. Well, they filed a lawsuit, and I knew that eventually they'd have to file something. I mean, come on. You're not a king. You can't declare and decree all of a sudden, you don't have to owe the taxpayers back this money that you borrowed. You need legislation. You need Congress to go ahead and do that. So we'll see. We'll see if this puts the kibosh on it. Actually, last time I talked about the Jones Act, I actually got a couple emails. People, basically saying we can't repeal the Jones Act. If we do that, we're going to have lousy captains out there and boats are going to crash and it's going to be anarchy. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. The Jones Act, okay, which is, basically it prevents people that are not union, not Americans to be basically putting ships into ports. Again, it's a little bit more involved in that, but I don't wait to hear this. There's an oil tanker, a diesel tanker, 300,000 barrels of diesel that's sitting off the coast of Puerto Rico, and they need the diesel fuel. Obviously, they got hit by the hurricane, and they have to deal with this. The boat can't dock. The boat can't dock because of the Jones Act, and they're actually. It also has to do where the boats are flagged, I guess, as well. They're actually trying to look for a waiver. Get the government, and this is how bad our government is. This is how pathetic and sad our government is. That they're trying. They cannot. You can't make a phone call and say, "Hey, we need this here." No, can't. It's got to go through all these channels and all this BS. It's pathetic. It really is. Again, it's part of the problem. We can't get out of our own way. A lot of these old union rules and stupid regulations, they all need to be done away with. We don't need more legislation. We need less. We need an eraser is what we need. 16 Wall Street banks slapped with a $1.1 billion fine and penalties for failing to monitor WhatsApp use. Ken, what did you think? These traders and these people working at these firms are going to do with an app and an ability to connect with others without the information actually being seen. You understand that it's how you can kind of manipulate trades and get certain information out to certain people. You following me here? Okay. You remember in the movie Wall Street where Bud Fox is, he's basically he's using his buddy from college who's a lawyer and others and trying to funnel money here and there. And you have the various different meetings. Hey, you do this stuff on WhatsApp. Nobody sees it. Well, I guess the SEC said, hey, you got to be monitoring that. You haven't been doing it. And we all know what these traders have been up to, what they've been doing. General Motors has delayed its return to office mandate after employee backlash. You're fired. You're fired. I have no confidence in companies where you have leaders that basically roll over when employees complain about actually and it's only 3 days a week. They only want them to show up at work 3 days a week. Employees complained, and they're going to let it slide. Sorry. It's weak leadership right there, quite frankly. This is some great news. Biogen. An Eisai Biogen study proved that Well, they've got this drug. It's called lecanemab. 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 I'm probably Lecanemab. It reduced cognitive and functional decline by 27% compared with the placebo over an 18-month phase 3 study, 1,800 patients with early stage Alzheimer's. Drug was also linked to higher rates of some other things, issues that they were going to have, but they say that there was rarely any sort of symptoms that went along with this. Today's announcement gives patients and their families hope that lecanemab, if approved, can potentially slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease and provide a clinically meaningful impact on cognition and function. Again, it's one of the scariest things in the world to me, in my opinion. I watched relatives, and I watched it affect them, what it did, how it affected our family, how hard it was. I told my wife when I said it, I start suspecting any cognitive decline when I get older or anything like that. I'm going on a fishing trip and I ain't coming back because I'm not going to go. I'm sorry. You call me coward. I'm not going to. I couldn't live with something like this. Couldn't do it. I couldn't put anybody. I just I am by nature. But it's awful. Almost awful, god awful diseases. You can imagine. You're losing. I don't know, your mind. I couldn't imagine. It's awful, awful. And this is great stuff. It's great stuff. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that they continue to find more of these things. And again, this is we always get the left coming back out at big pharma. Oh, big pharma. Who came up with this? Big pharma came up with this. They came up with it. Do you have any idea how much? I don't off the top of my head. I can go find out how much money was spent to develop this drug. Not to mention all of the other drugs that failed. All of the other drugs out there trying to do the same thing, trying to cure a disease as god awful as Alzheimer's. How much money has been spent on that, and they haven't worked. They get to phase 1, maybe cops out, maybe make it to phase 2. Nope, sorry, no good. Some making as far as phase 3. You're talking, in the case of Alzheimer's, billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Again, the money doesn't fall from the sky. Okay, the pharmaceutical companies don't have their own Federal Reserve, Jay Powell, printing money for them. Anyway, this is kind of off the beaten track. We'll end on this one today. I keep seeing these things. There was one in Miami, I think we mentioned here on the program, where you're bringing children into drag restaurants, and you should see the video. These first and foremost, these places aren't the Birdcage that they were in. The drag queen, whatever you want to call them, were wearing things that were completely inappropriate for children to be around. I'm sorry. And I don't understand this shoving this down the throat. There was a drag show, I guess, in Tennessee, and protesters showed up to push back on this. And again, we see these things time and time again, and the sexualization of young children. Why would you do that to your kids? Can't you let them be children for a period of time? I don't get it. I don't. And for crying out loud. I mean, like I said, I don't have a problem if that's what you like. Again, I keep thinking the movie The Birdcage. There was a bar, take off on a place in Miami on South Beach that was for adults. You didn't see any kids inside there. It was for adults. Age appropriate, for crying out loud. When did that bloody go away? I mean, you can't, unless you're 18 years old, you can't get into a rated R movie, but you can deal with these drag shows, and again, that are overly sexualized. Okay, it's not the Birdcage type of stuff. It's not Nathan Lane singing a song. All right. Anyway, have a great day, buddy. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Good luck to everyone. One of our largest listening audiences we have is in the state of Florida, not to mention my main office in Tampa, Florida as well. Not to mention my mom lives down there, and my brothers, and lots of family, and lots of friends, and all sorts of stuff. Been in contact with them. Just got off the phone with my mother before we did the podcast today, and she said she's never seen anything like it. She said you can't. It's like a whiteout. People in the north know a whiteout with snow where you can't see. It's like a precipitous with rain. And man, said the wind is blowing. But again, but he took the precautions. Pray that everybody stays safe. Anyway, have a good one. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. We'll see you.